During the escalating tensions of the Cold War, a single human being possessed the authority to end millions of lives. The sitting U.S. president held the launch codes to an arsenal capable of wiping out entire continents. But there was a terrifying psychological flaw built into the system. If the president ever ordered a strike, he would never actually see a single person die. The destruction would happen thousands of miles away from the quiet safety of a briefing room. In 1981, conflict management expert Roger Fisher devised a radical solution. He proposed taking the launch codes, placing them inside a small capsule, and surgically implanting it right next to the heart of a human volunteer. This volunteer would accompany the president everywhere. If the commander-in-chief decided to launch a nuclear weapon, he couldn't just give an order. He would first have to take a heavy butcher knife and personally end an innocent human life with his own hands to retrieve the codes. When Fisher presented this to friends at the Pentagon, they were horrified. They argued that forcing the president to commit murder would distort his judgment. If he had to witness innocent blood on the White House carpet, he might never push the button. That terrifying hesitation was exactly Fisher's point. Humans are remarkably adept at ignoring catastrophic outcomes as long as the pain is removed from the present moment. If a failure is relatively painless right now, we ignore it. We face a similar dynamic in our own lives. We routinely make decisions that damage our health, our finances, or our relationships. We push the button on our own destructive habits precisely because the heart attack, the bankruptcy, or the breakup is comfortably years away. We naturally repeat actions that are immediately satisfying. The inverse is also true. We avoid actions that are immediately painful. If you want to eliminate a bad habit, you apply the inversion of the fourth law of behavior change. Make it immediately unsatisfying. Pain is an incredibly efficient teacher. A plumber masters his craft because the threat of a bad review is immediate. Customers pay their bills on time because a late fee hits their bank account the very next day. When the cost of a mistake is tangible and local, people adapt quickly. But our worst habits operate in reverse. They provide immediate relief or pleasure in the present, while the punishment is pushed far off into the future. That gap between action and consequence makes the behavior incredibly difficult to abandon. To fix the glitch in our programming, you have to collapse that distance. You must artificially eliminate the gap, ensuring that the punishment for a bad choice arrives the exact moment you make it. Large groups of people actually do this all the time by creating a social contract. We collectively agree on a set of rules, and then we agree to punish anyone who fails to follow them. Look at the United States before December 1st, 1984. At the time, wearing a seatbelt was totally optional, and the vast majority of drivers simply ignored them. This chart shows seatbelt usage over time. Before the law, only 14% of Americans buckled up. But once New York passed the first mandate and attached a financial penalty to ignoring it, other states followed. Compliance quickly spiked to over 88%. The threat of an immediate ticket altered the daily routine of millions of people. Governments rely on these regulations to hold citizens accountable. But you don't need a legislature to enforce immediate costs. You can hijack this exact architecture to force your own compliance. After his son was born, an entrepreneur named Brian Harris realized he needed to shed a significant amount of weight and get his health back on track. Instead of relying on vague goals, he wrote up a formal habit contract. He mapped out exact daily targets for tracking his macronutrients, weighing himself, and completing his sprint workouts. Then he added the teeth. He set up immediate financial punishments. If he missed his protein targets, he had to pay his trainer $100. If he failed to log his food, that was another $200 out of his pocket. But the most painful clause wasn't financial. If he forgot to run his sprints, Harris forced himself to dress up for work every single day and wear an Alabama hat for the rest of the quarter, an agonizing public humiliation for a devoted Auburn fan. He successfully lost the weight because he stopped relying on motivation. He engineered a system where the immediate cost of laziness was mathematically and painfully higher than the physical cost of doing the exercise. We are biologically wired to care deeply about the opinions of those around us. For thousands of years, presenting our best selves and securing the approval of our tribe was a matter of basic survival. You can activate this ancient biological fear by bringing in an accountability partner. The moment someone else is watching your progress, Failing to follow through means you risk being seen as lazy or untrustworthy. You add an immediate social cost to your inaction. The comedian Margaret Cho uses this exact pressure. She writes a new joke or song every single day alongside a friend. Doing the challenge together ensures they both stay on track, knowing the other person expects them to show up. You can even automate the humiliation. The entrepreneur Thomas Frank schedules an automatic tweet every morning at 6:10 a.m., offering $5 to the first people who reply, citing his own laziness. The only way to stop the tweet from publishing and costing him money is to wake up before 5:55 a.m. and cancel it. When you operate in a complete vacuum, breaking promises to yourself is easy. Your willpower will eventually collapse when there is no immediate friction stopping you from quitting. If you want to guarantee your own follow-through, you have to drag those distant consequences into the present moment. Start drafting a contract, make the stakes public, and weaponize the immediate pain of failure against yourself.